We made it to another week. Welcome, everyone. It's Friday, reset, mindset. So we're going to kick it off. We have a really great guest. But first, we have to talk about how the week went because that's why we're here. We're going to get to her, and she's going to share a little bit about herself and her story. So I hope everyone's had a wonderful week. Thanks, everyone that's coming on in, get chatters, saying hello to each other. We want to create a wonderful community. So I hope everyone here is doing great. Wonderful week. I got a lot of rest. I'm going to leave it at that. It just wasn't a very busy week, and I'm so grateful for that. So can't say much more. And I'm going to go ahead and welcome our co-host, Darren.
Hey guys, thank you so much. This has been a really cool week. It's cool to hear that you got rest and took rest, DJ. I've been doing the same thing, really making sure I get my head right before we do some big move forwards. We got both of our LinkedIn lives coming, and it took a lot of work to get there, as you know, DJ, and that I was pretty worn out, to be honest. And so instead of just grinding, I took some rest myself. And, this week's guest is exciting. I got a chance to talk to her a little bit. And so I'll hand it off to James. But I was, it had me asking myself some questions as to what direction am I going? And I think I'm pretty sound on what my core values are and what I want, but I often get, lost in the weeds. And so, James, how's your week going, man?
It's been another great week, and as usual, I mean, I've had some struggles with kids getting sick and some hay fever stuff and sinus infections and things. But the one thing that I continue to just get encouraged by is the community that we have, and that extends past just the day-to-day with Darren and DJ and the things that we communicate on. I mean, the LinkedIn community continues to provide what a powerful place. I know I said that last week as well, but it really is touching. It's just such an unexpected thing that continues to grow. And I just hope more people experience it, because that's really what we want to provide with this. It's just been wonderful, and I'm super excited about today. I've known Katherine for over 20 years, and just an amazing individual. I can't wait for everyone here in the community to meet. I see we have some amazing people already chiming in on the chat, which is cool.
What's up, Kenny? Adam?
Kenny, Adam. Yeah, absolutely. Hello. Let's bring Katherine in.
All right. Hi, guys.
Hey, Katherine.
Hey, welcome, Katherine.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I was so excited to meet you. I mean, we had met earlier in life, but it's been a few years, really, probably 3-4 years or something. James and I worked together at Bismarck, and, we met because, just in the business. But what you and I spoke about was a lot different. And, you're in the business, but you do a lot more than just sell houses and make money. There was a story you told me early on in life that really, to me, sounded like it set you on a pace for dealing with the highs and lows of life, because you were deciding and focusing and choosing a direction. And there was a lot of mindset things in there that I don't know. Even the term, was it metaphysics? Is that right?
Yeah, that's the field of that I was introduced to. So
tell us about who you are. Give us your story and your why in life, and what do you been up to? Tell us about Katherine.
Absolutely. So I think before getting into metaphysics, I'd have to say that, because I think it's really important if you're talking about mindset, that a lot of people think that you have to just already start from this really positive place. And I don't think everybody does, but I don't think that that's what makes us. And just to give you a point of reference, I grew up in a dysfunctional family. I love my mom, but she was a single mom of 4. And I grew up without a dad until I met my stepdad at 14. And my real father died about 10 years ago, serving a 40-year sentence in prison. So when you talk about like, the things that we come from and the things that are pivotal in our lives that change us, I think that a lot of people think that you have to already be in this like great place, and that's BS. That's just, as James would say, the drunk person in your head talking, because it's not what reality is in life. We all go through highs and lows, and for me, one of the pivotal changes in my life took place at around, gosh, I would have been probably 18. I had enlisted in the Army at 17, and that was after I dropped out of high school in the 10th grade. And I just really struggled. I had ADHD, and sitting in a classroom, I wasn't diagnosed at the time. I didn't even know I had it. I just knew I couldn't sit still. So I enlisted in the Army, and I was actually, to be very correct, because I love my Army people, I was active duty Army National Guard. So I worked for the National Guard, but I went on active duty status, and I did that for 10 years. But the first boss, like one of my very first bosses, was just a wonderful human being, a badass. She told me about some different ways to think about life. And she presented me with books on the topic of metaphysics. And when we talk about metaphysics is kind of, as a whole, it's more of a seeking of understanding and how things are universally tied. It could go in a lot of different directions, so you don't have to take it one way and go, oh, it's only The Secret. When I started that path, this was, gosh, I'm old. I'm 46, so this would have been, more than 20 years ago, 25 years ago, way before The Secret. And some of the first books I read were like TNT by Claude Bristol and Harold Sherman, and The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. A lot of these really fundamental, great thinking books. One that I just recommended to James called Psycho-Cybernetics. Phenomenal book. But the core basis of these books that really helped me was this concept that you could overcome anything, and I think that that's a really important mindset to take on at a young age, and to really embrace the idea that these things, these obstacles, they're not really obstacles. They're your path. And I think for me, that was my pivotal point.
That's interesting, Katherine, because the one thing that I always remember, and again, we go way back. I mean, 20 plus years. And you're a dear friend. And you recommended, and we actually worked together at Bismarck, the group I'm still with, did a phenomenal job with us. You had recommended The Obstacle is the Way.
Yeah, I love that book.
And that's one of those books that you read that really sticks with you. And that was Ryan Holiday, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's
phenomenal,
awesome dude. Yeah.
And you, on top of all that, you continue to bring, and we touched on this earlier, your inner reflection is big. I mean, that's a big part of you. And we talked about this a little bit, where people all too often don't have that chance to course correct. They don't either have it within them to reach out for help. What do you attribute that to? I mean, where did you gather that confidence? Because you do that so well, and I've always admired that. That's it's an admirable thing about you. Where does that come from? What do you attribute to that?
Well, I think that I would have to attribute it to all of these great people that I've read about, and all of the things that they've overcome. I mean, you read about any of these like really phenomenal humans that have accomplished, great things, and you'll see that they had to go through a lot. I mean, and some of them, I mean, I'm sure you guys, a lot of you have seen like that list of like the lives of certain presidents, and it'll have like 20 obstacles, like committed to a insane asylum at this age. I mean, when you read that stuff, this is the thing. It's like, I think I heard about this once. Like, the fastest man in the world. It was in one of the books I read. As soon as he saw someone else break the record, then he's able to break the record. And it's the same thing with us. We get caught on these things where we think you can't get past it. But as soon as you watch somebody else get past something, then you're like, oh, I can do that. And I think that that's the way these books with these great authors work. You pick them up, and you're not going to get everything, but you're going to get your tidbit. And I think that that's a really important thing to keep doing.
Yeah. Katherine, one thing that is really important to me is, and it's become a buzzword on LinkedIn, which doesn't really matter, but just being authentic. Because when I started in the business, I was a Marine, and then I went into Amway, and I was like hard into door-to-door sales. And I just learned like this sort of mindset stuff that was to me like a false positive. It wasn't a false positivity, because it did carry me through some times, but I don't see there's no phony I'm getting it done. And when I talk to you or when I'm around you, same as James, there's a positive direction, but it's different than, just set your sights on the moon and let your wings flap. It's not, like it's much bigger than a saying or just some funny thing. What is it? How is it beyond just an idea for you? What has changed or carried you through to the pivotal moments, when you couldn't just think another thought yourself, or yeah.
So I think when I think about these really tough times in my life, I always, I fill my head with a lot of positive talk, which is something that I think is a really important thing to flood yourself with when you're going through a tough ordeal. And having these like really important sayings to say to yourself. Like, one thing I say to myself is, anything worth doing is worth doing well. And it's something I try and just like chime into my head and try and remind myself of. Now, obviously, every job I do, I don't do well, but I try and I tell myself these things. And the same with, like when I know that I'm cycling in my thoughts and overburdening myself with worry. There's another saying I say, I got this one a long time ago from a really good book. And it was, I pass this burden to the universe and I go free. And that was another saying that's got me through a lot, where, I think when you get stressed, sometimes you cycle and you'll start like overanalyzing everything. And sometimes you just got to let the universe take over. And whether that's, for some people, that's God. And for me, I just have this view of the universe and how we're all interconnected and things are interconnected. And I have a belief that sometimes I need to just let my worry and my stress kind of float in that atmosphere. And then when I step outside it, I can see what I need to do next. But when I let myself be consumed by it, I can't swim. So that's my one saying I really like. I pass this burden on the universe and I go free. That's when I feel like I'm not treading water well. Another good saying I like to say is, happiness is now. And that comes from that book, Psycho-Cybernetics. And I really loved this. There's a chapter in Psycho-Cybernetics where the author talks about how for a lot of people, they make happiness a goal. And it's a really important thing to recognize that happiness shouldn't be a goal. It should be every day in everything you do. And helping yourself remind yourself that it isn't all the things that you do throughout the day. It's the little things. It's the iced tea that you made yourself perfectly,
Mhm.
It's all those things. So I don't know. That's another thing that I kind of try and say to myself. And then another really important one too about getting over things and moving past stuff. There was another author, he did, oh gosh, it's a procrastination book, and I can get you the title of it. It's a really great book that I read also. And he says in this book about worry as imagining a roulette wheel. And that when you show up and you decide you're going to do something, it's like the wheel is already spinning, and as soon as the ball drops, that's it. We can't. All the worry that we're doing is wasted because the wheel is already spinning. It's already in motion, and the ball's going to drop wherever it's going to drop. So we wasted all this time worrying in between the moment we decided to do something and when the outcome comes. So I try to remind myself of that, and I might not be saying it the best, so maybe after I'll update you guys on that book, but it was a great one, and it was on procrastination that I really liked.
One thing, Katherine, that comes to mind, and it's been a learning curve getting into this, and I'll be honest, my Christian faith has gotten in the way of some ideas that have brought me health, like meditation and some things like that I practice deeply now, that other people's ideas of the religion, I should say, got in the way. But the more I learn about this metaphysics, like what you said, letting it go into the universe, or what I've really, when it gets down to the little bits in my life, like it encourages that in me, like it encourages a positive release, and it encourages faith ideas, and like the roulette wheel, letting go of that wheel. I don't care what your faith is. We all want to let go. There's too many things in our life, and we all want to figure out how to let go. And so I think it's funny how we take others' ideas, and that gets in the way of some things, but James has been hard on me about this. Wayne Dyer is a writer, and he's very like subtle and I think loving the way he comes at me with it. And so it like I said, it's encouraged faith. It's encouraged me to think bigger and identify with what my core values are, not in like a religious way, but like, who is Darren, who is D-Roo? Why do I do what I do? And if I don't like it, why am I doing it still? And that's what we're really looking at, is addressing the things in real time and stop doing the things that we shouldn't be doing, in codependency, in, like a lot of us know, a trauma response is to jump in and help other people. I'm overly good at getting myself into places and helping folks. And I love the team effort, but it wipes me out. And what I realized as I've come into this is I have to get more present with who I am and what I need and what I want, not just for the day, but upcoming, what really is important to me. And, it's been a journey, and definitely I would say because of the highs and lows of life, this plays into it. The other thing that I would say that encouraged me on your story is the constant course correction. We talked about that constantly. Is there a team of people in your life? Do you have mentors? Is this all self-guided journey for you? How are you doing that? Because I struggle, and on my own, and so I'm really curious as to how do you keep going, and how do you do so much? Because you're doing a ton of real estate volume. That's not who you are, but that's That's a big part of who you are, I guess, you know?
Yeah. Well, the course correcting part is I think it's difficult for everyone. I don't think it's an easy thing. But I saw, I've seen therapists a number of periods of my life. I think it's a really healthy thing to do. And I think there's times in your life that you having someone else to kind of break down all your thoughts to and share can be super helpful. And I always used these folks in the capacity of they would share, hey, Katherine, you should check out this book and let me know, what you thought about chapter 5. Like, I read a book called Undefended Love when I went through my divorce, and I thought, oh man, there's just so many nuggets in that really helped me kind of course correct for the future. And as far as the course correcting goes, one of the therapists that I had, she told me a long time ago about, hanging on to things for your ego rather than doing things that are going to be the best things for you. And I think that's a big thing that all of us do. And it's a hard thing to check yourself because, we have, obviously part of being a strong person is, in some ways having a stronger ego, but it's okay to check that side of you, especially if it's going to hold you back. And I think that's the thing that I oftentimes have to remind myself is I need to be looking, 2 goals ahead. And those 2 goals ahead are more important than this small decision right here. And so if I need to course correct to get to those 2 goals ahead, then that's what I've got to do. And the longer that I hold on to my ego about, well, I wanted to do it this way, it's like we said about the roulette wheel. I've already dropped the ball. The ball's already spinning around and it's going to drop, it's going to fall into whatever number it does. And I just need to get myself to the next step. And that's what I tell myself. That's one of the things that I do to course correct is to tell myself, hey, what are the next 2 things? Not this thing, but what are the next 2 things that I need to do? And I thought of another thing that I often say to myself as well that I think is a really important one is not just anything worth doing is worth doing well, but where there's a will, there's always a way. I think too often we get caught in thoughts of giving up. Course correcting isn't giving up. It's really staying true to your will and going, no, I will find a way, and I think where there's a will, there's always a way is something that we should be practicing on a daily basis when you find yourself stumbling.
Yeah, that's perfectly great. Let's give a shout out to the chat here, and I also want to touch on a couple more things. No, because I also want to touch on a couple more things that I want people to know about Katherine on the business side, because what she does in what she's speaking of for her, she's walking clients through those things. I mean, she does that in all aspects of her life. But I also see some amazing people here in the chat. Let's give a quick shout out here, DJ.
I should say goodbye to my wife who jumped on the plane. I missed that. Hi, sweetie.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh,
hello.
Stacy was here. We had a few people popping through, so we. Well,
I see Kenny. Yep, I see. Yep, Stacy was there, and
Hey,
I see
Kenny.
Kenny's there, and Adam's there, and
Adam.
we appreciate everybody joining us today.
Leg King.
Oleg's here, awesome.
I'm just reading through these too. They're really cool.
Yeah,
it's a great community of people.
it's an amazing.
LinkedIn
platform.
has really blossomed this last year. It's become
there. Hello. Yeah,
a lot different than it was 10 years ago.
This is really cool.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. And Katherine, the things that you do and you talk about, again, I've seen that play out on the business side for you too, which what I've always appreciated with you about you, one of the many things is that what you bring to everyday life, you bring to everybody. And that's so important. You bring that to the business. You will speak into people's lives. You will say, here's something you might not see. And, all too often people in your position, even successful agents, I'll find aren't willing to say, hey, you might want to consider these things, and here's why. And you do that. And I think that's just another one of those things that you've done to yourself, and you bring that to others. And that's such an important thing. And that's a big part of who you are, in my opinion. And you come by it naturally, and it comes off just, effortless, in my opinion. And I know that, the times that we've had to work, I mean, you've worked with me, you've listed properties of ours. I mean, I know that about you, from that standpoint. But, what was it? Oh, and hi, Jen's here. And I saw Krista was here too, I believe. So,
Right on.
but what was it on the real estate side and the business side, as we're kind of coming in the home stretch here? What you continued that you had mentors on that side as well. I mean, you came from the background on the Army side was so important, and you brought that forward. How did that play in on the real estate side? Because obviously you love it. You're in it, and you do so well at it. So
yeah. Oh, I love real estate, and I love all aspects of it. It's not like, for me, I just like selling people homes. I love that too. But I like learning about homes. I mean, and all the components, the repairs, restoration, new construction, all of it. I think it's just an endless place to learn. And for me, I think that's really important, to have a job where you can continue to grow and learn. And this has been that kind of a fit for me. I think, coming from the military into this profession, I like being an ambassador. And I felt like, when I was in the Army, I was a supply sergeant in my last job. And I was responsible for high dollar assets, for managing all of the equipment and everything and keeping track of everything. And then you come into another profession where you're kind of doing a similar thing, except in this case, this is the most expensive purchase that somebody's going to make in their lifetime. And so for me, I really take that so seriously, and I want to make, help them become not just a one-time home buyer, but someone who looks at real estate as a part of their life, as a part of their, portfolio as a whole, So I try to incorporate a lot of these different things that I know from kind of grooming myself in the industry into what I do each day with clients.
yeah, no,
It's going to be fun coming up, Katherine, because we're going to be doing more of why we started this, why it's called Washing Real Estate and all that. And you're local, so you will be able to come out and detail your car and have a future discussion.
You guys don't want to detail my car, though.
James would love to.
Yeah, but
I will talk to you while he washes your car.
the mindset there I appreciate, because again, no matter what we're doing in life, it doesn't matter. We can still have that happiness and that joy and that drive. I learned that about myself. I learned that through several recessions. It didn't matter if I was doing well or not. I loved what I do, and I love what I do. And that's the reason why, what you're touching on there is the drive and the passion. And if people aren't in that, it's tough for them, and just that acknowledgement and offer them support. I think that's something that I desperately try not to take for granted, because I know it's rare. And, I know that about you, and it's great. But let's get into our, as I called it last week, our patented song of the week. Let's kind of come into the home stretch here. I can't thank you enough, Katherine, for today.
Oh, absolutely.
We were so excited to get you on. You're such a positive force out there, and we appreciate that. We appreciate you just walking through your story and the things that you do to continue to stay on that path that you want to be on. And it's great. It's commendable, and that bravery, and thank you so much. But let's go DJ, Katherine, Darren, and I'll close out. Let's do that. So right. DJ, what's your song of the week?
Suppose I'm up. This is simple. I've been listening to this song. It just came at me. It's a little throwback, but it's pretty popular. It's called The Sound of Silence.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Yeah.
So that's where I'm at this week.
That's
like
super
that.
Cool. That's fitting for the week that you had, right? A little bit calmer. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Katherine, what's your favorite tune of the week?
Actually, on the way driving back, I was listening to Walking on Sunshine, and I felt so happy because we've had like the best weather this week.
Yes.
Honestly. So yeah, I played that twice.
See, yeah, another oldie but a goodie. That's perfect. And the chat, we need to hear from the chat too.
Absolutely.
Darren, how about you?
Man, my daughter turned me on to a band called Rainbow Kitten Surprise, and I thought it wasn't going to be something I was into. But man, the song, it's called Free Fall. I've listened to it probably 4 times today, and I don't know, a dozen yesterday. I don't know, it's just hit me right in the feels this week. And that song, it's about letting go and just sort of being, and not letting people take you down their route, just being yourself. And I love that. I can't hear enough of that.
It's an amazing song. Darren sent that to me.
Thank you, Mia. That was my daughter who kicked that our way.
Oh my gosh. Incredible. Never would have found that one. I love those songs that find us.
I know it.
This week, and I told Darren, I said, I think I know what song. And it's, of all people, it's a Prince song. But it's a Prince song that not many people know. And it's a song that if you're going to listen to it, you have to listen to the whole thing, and you have to right to the end, and you'll understand why. And it's a song that was released as a single in the 80s, only in Africa. I mean, it's a song that hardly anybody knows. And yes, it kind of made its way back in, but it also changed. So that original version, and it's called The Cross. And it ties back into what we're talking about. It doesn't matter where you're hanging your hat. If it's the universe, the cross can represent whatever you want to represent. It is a very powerful song. I had Darren listen to it, and I had to insist I was sitting there with him so I could watch his reaction, because he's like, "That's not a Prince song." I'm like, "Oh, that's a Prince song." It is very, very unbelievable. So I could go on, but I won't. If you're interested, go check it out. The Cross by Prince. So yeah, that's it.
Adam likes Wax Fang, or Majestic by Wax Fang.
See,
I'm gonna check them out.
See, exactly.
These are the little gems we get. Kenny, what do you got, man? I know you got something in that head of yours. Some beautiful tunes. He's a huge music fan too. But.
We've got a lot of music heads out there that's so cool. Majestic by Wax. I'm going to check that out, because that's how we find these golden gems. That's what's so great about it. But yeah, well, Katherine, thanks again so much for today. DJ, as always, amazing. Thank you so very much. It's so good to see you. Thank you guys so very much. Thanks to the audience. Thanks, Darren.
Thank you, Katherine. This was a great show. It's right where we needed to be at the end of the week, I think. We all had some rest, and here we go into the weekend. Gives us some time to think about what do we want to see ourselves doing, being, feeling next week. So thank you, everybody. This was a great show.
Cool.
Really was. Thank you, Katherine.
Yep. Guys,
Oh, hey, what's up, Gabe?
Hi, guys.